Welcome back to Fast RC, buddy. My name is Ryan. So in this video, we have some new vehicles to talk about from Arrma, and that's the Arrma Quake and the Gorgon Grom edition. So stick around. I'll see you on the other side of the intro. Yep, so there's no way Arrma's going to make a new Quake and a new Gorgon without Fast RC making a new video about it, because it's probably my favorite vehicle in my entire arsenal behind me. Anyways, this video we are going to go on the Arrma website and take a look at some of the features and specs, and we're going to talk about some of the recent some of the changes that they're making to the Gorgon platform, which I think are really interesting, and interesting from a maintenance perspective. Kind of that stuff I want to talk about. But just to level set with you guys, I don't have the model obviously, so we're going to take a look at the site, we'll look at some of the specs, and we're going to talk about pricing, because I really think many vehicles slot into an interesting price point in RC nowadays. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. So no more yapping, let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so here we are at the Arrma website. So right off the top, they announced this morning, and man, I did not expect it, because usually Arrma releases their stuff on Thursdays, so it fits kind of nicely in the middle of the week, and then I end up putting it on RC Weekly. Speaking of RC Weekly, that's going to come out a little bit. Actually, it'll already be out after this, before this video comes out. So if you want to check out all the news from the prior week, it'll be there. But for this video, let's talk about the Gorgon Grom and the Quake Grom. So mini monster trucks, and what I think is really interesting, so my first 2 cents, right off the bat, seeing this first take, it's interesting to see them now put the Gorgon and the Quake, even though I know they're Groms, but to put them on the same playing field, if that makes any sense. They both are exactly the same trucks. The only difference is the body and the colors. So they have the same motor system, where at the 10 scale, the Gorgon is kind of seen as the step below with the brushed electronics, versus the Quake, which is brushless. So that was my first immediate take. It's kind of interesting to see the Gorgon kind of level set with the Quake. I don't know if that matters at all, but it kind of seems like it matters to me. Anyways, so we're getting a mini set. So let's take a look at the Quake first, and I like this picture here because you get an idea of the scale. So 1/16 scale versus 1/10. This looks to me, for a 16 scale, right on par, obviously, but versus the other Grom vehicles, it kind of slots somewhere in the middle. It's a little bit smaller, it looks than the Mojave Grom, but bigger than the Granite Grom. So it's an interesting slot. I for one, for a monster truck, thinks this one looks a little bit more scale compared to the Granite. Obviously, they're kind of going for that Monster Jam vibe. And actually, now that I think about it, my review video of the Quake, one of my key points in there, I talked about how I really feel like Arrma kind of found something here with the Quake and the Gorgon, and kind of is in a way making their own series of Monster Jam vehicles. And now seeing them with the Grom really leaning into that. There's a picture, yeah, so right here, so this new tub chassis has this tubular structure, which makes it look like a Monster Jam monster truck, right? So they're really leaning more into that scale look, where the 10 scale doesn't have this, but this Grom, it looks actually way more scale. Just adding this makes it look like a Monster Jam monster truck. So I really feel like Arrma struck gold with the Quake and the Gorgon, and I feel like they really know it. They understand it. And so going off of that key point from my original Quake review, I do wonder if they come out with separate or new models based off of this platform. I just speculation. I think they really have a winner with the Quake and the Gorgon, and I don't know. I would say expand the lineup. Give us a whole lineup of faux Monster Jam vehicles from Arrma. I think it'd be cool. So the tub chassis is one of the big changes. And here's all the colors. So real quick on the Quake, the colors going to come in all the standard Quake colors. So you got purple, green, and red. And then you got the new tub chassis, which we're going to talk about here in a second. And like I said, with the Gorgon, everything's the same. So let's take a look at the Gorgon real quick. So the Gorgon colors I think are interesting. It has the highlighter yellow color. And then there's also, so you see here the size difference. Let's take a look. It's gonna come in red, which is pretty cool color, but this is the one that knocks my socks off. This bronze color, holy crap. Anytime I see black and gold or black and bronze, it's an immediate yes. Absolutely. If I'm gonna pick, and let me know in the comments what color you guys would pick, but me personally, I see that bronze gold one, and that's the ticket right there. That's the one. So I don't know. Just my personal opinion. So I thought this was a really interesting color, and I'm really glad they made this one. Okay, so we talked about all that. Here's all the colors. You got the yellow, the red, and the bronze gold, which is cool. Let's go ahead and take a look more. So you see that tub chassis again, and I want to talk about some of the internals. So was really nice to see. It's all coming with metal gears and metal drivetrain, which is nice to see. Like we talked about, it's going to be a brushed motor system inside of this rig, but from the video that I watched from Arrma, which I'll link down in the description, they do a whole breakdown of this vehicle, and it looks like, or from what they're saying, is the brush setup is like more than enough speed and power for this thing, and that you might not want to go brushless. It might really be uncontrollable, although we'll have to be the judge of that. But it's nice to see that they really have a beefed up drivetrain, even in a small vehicle like this. So if you do decide to go brushless, looking at this transmission and the rest of the drivetrain, I think you'll be okay. Even have metal hexes too, and metal outdrive. That's like, this thing is really beefed up for the price. And then even comes with a wheelie bar, which is nice. And it looks like even on that brush motor, you're still able to pull wheelies, which is cool. There's that tub chassis again. And like I said, everything is the same from between the Gorgon and the Quake, except for the body. They beefed up the body mounting system. So this is interesting, and this is another thing that I actually thought about for like the 10 scale Gorgon and Quake. Well, not so much the Quake, but the Gorgon, is having this chassis brace, but not a chassis brace, but like a body brace, kind of span the whole body. I was actually interested in doing this for the 110 scale Gorgon too. So this is kind of cool to see. I wonder if this is a feature that eventually makes it on the 10 scale someday. Maybe. It probably doesn't really need it, but it's cool to see nonetheless. And look at all the bracing on the top of the body too. It's kind of hard to see here, but this thing is pretty beefed up, which is definitely an interesting upgrade. And then here's the bottom of the chassis. We can see that tube structure makes it look like a scale monster truck, which is awesome. Nice and smooth. This is an HCG chassis from what we can tell. Which I definitely like to see, and it's going to come with a battery and charger, which is also nice because the battery compartment's not very big, so you're definitely going to want a battery to come with it. And so let's take a look at some of the rest of this. Okay, so right here, this is one of the main features that I wanted to talk about from a maintenance perspective. So you can kind of go like both ways on this vehicle. It has this tub chassis, and looking at the chassis, this is like a mono chassis where your shock towers are built into the chassis. Basically, your entire vehicle is like built into this chassis. So if you were to, for whatever reason, blow a shock tower or something, you're gonna have to end up changing the whole chassis. So that's kind of like a con, but from the videos I've watched so far, apparently this thing is so rigid that, I mean, you would really have to, I don't know, you'd have to do some like unspeakable things to break this chassis, at least from what it sounds like. So I find that kind of interesting. It's an interesting decision, but I do trust Arrma in the sense of making a really rigid chassis, because just my personal experience with the Gorgon and now the Quake, they make some really tough chassis out of this plastic compound that they got, and I would, no doubt, I bet this one is going to be super tough as well. Also too, so from a maintenance perspective, this entire unit here in the middle comes out like on its own. From RC Driver's video, he showed how you can take out like this motor, the ESC, and the servo, which is tucked under the ESC here. This whole unit comes out, because my biggest question, seeing that it's got this mono chassis, this kind of mono tub chassis, was like, how the heck are we going to change the servo, or what does the servo maintenance look like, or if we blow a servo saver, how does that work out? And the good news is it looks like this entire unit swaps out. So on the plus side, so while I said the con might be, you know, if you do break a shock tower or you break a part of the chassis, you got to change the entire chassis of the vehicle. The flip side is that this entire unit here looks like it's removable in one whole set. So that's nice to see, and from a maintenance perspective or just changing parts perspective, I think is really interesting, and is actually a really nice touch. Like, it'll probably make our lives just a whole lot easier to work on. It's already going to be a pain with how small everything is, but being able to pull everything out in one shot is nice. So that's just my 2 cents. I think it's definitely nice to see that. Gonna come with a SLT2 transmitter. That's pretty standard. Believe it had decals on it too. Oh, Metal Gear servos. This is also nice to see just right out of the box. Gonna have some metal gears, although, you know, it looks like brass. We'll have to see how well this servo stands up Me personally, for the Quake with the upgraded Metal Gear servo, haven't had an issue yet. Servo savers, who knows if this is going to be a problem on this vehicle? Probably not, be my guess. And then even with the brush motor, it is going to come with a heatsink and motor fan, which is nice to see, especially in a tub chassis like that. And then, you know, got the brush motor here, and I'm going to have a battery and charger included, which is definitely nice to see. Yeah, so that is going to be it from the maintenance standpoint that I wanted to talk about. And then here's that video that I'm going to link. I would definitely check that out. Apparently, I'm going to start watching these Arrma videos a little bit closer, because this guy had these mini tires here in the background, and like I had no idea they were there. They were there from like a couple videos ago, so they've been teasing this for like a month. Had no idea. Anyways. Yeah, we got a little more pictures of the Gorgon and kind of the size comparison. I do think this is an interesting size, 6, nearly 7-inch wheelbase, so it definitely is a small scale vehicle. But looks pretty nice, honestly, just my take on that. If I had to pick, I would pick this bronze Gorgon out of all, you know, the Quakes and the Gorgons to be the one I'd pick. So let's talk about price. So price is coming in at $189.99. So that puts these vehicles, the Gorgon and the Quake, firmly ahead of the Gorgon, the base model Gorgon, which you can get for $169.99. So I thought that was kind of funny that you can go get the 10 scale Gorgon, the blue one, like I have behind me here, for $169, and then this one, this smaller scale, 16 scale, for $189. But I do think this Gorgon Grom and the Quake Grom are just as good of values as the 10 scale, because, you know, number one, they're 4x4. Number two, they have beefed up drivetrains, so like you're not, you know, you're getting a pretty stout truck right out of the box. And then you're getting some new technology with the new chassis and the new maintenance system of pulling all the electronics out in one shot. And then also too, you're getting a battery and charger, so it really, like, truly is ready to run out of the box. And I think really like a $20 difference is not that bad. And then if you were to compare this Gorgon Grom ready to run versus the Gorgon 110 scale ready to run with a battery and charger, it's actually only a $10 difference, because you can get that Gorgon with a battery and charger for $199.99. So you kind of got to weigh it out. So like, do you want the bigger 10 scale, but it's 2-wheel drive, but is an amazing handling truck? Or do you want a 4x4 Gorgon Grom with a battery and charger, but it's smaller, it's 16 scale? I think it just depends on where you're going to drive it. It really is honestly the question. Like if you're going to do like more like taller grass or like rougher terrain, you might want to go 10 scale. If you're going to drive like inside or in like smaller areas or easier terrain, or you just want more maneuverability, or you just want a really tough 4x4 mini truck, then you'll probably want to go the Grom route. So that's my take on this thing. I do think $189 is not too bad, actually. I mean, sub 200 for a miniature vehicle 4x4 like that. That is honestly, like, size wise really comparable, like close to the mini LMT, although not as specced out as the mini LMT with like solid axles and stuff. But it's so close. Like I saw one of the videos, they had them side by side, and this thing is almost identical size to the mini LMT. So I'm telling you, Arrma they're making their own line of Monster Jam, and it's really cool to see. So I did a lot of talking in this video. Obviously, you could tell I'm really excited about this Quake and Gorgon Grom. These two vehicles are like my favorite 110 scale vehicles, and so to see them now in the Grom size is really, really fun and nice to see. And so let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm going to quit yapping for today, and I'll see you on the next edition of RC Weekly. How about that? Take care, guys.